Programming made possible by Kentucky American Water. Visit Lex, horse capital of the world.
Did you know Kentucky has more navigable miles of water than any other state in the U.S. except Alaska?
Is Alaska still a state?
It includes 90,000 miles of streams and dozens of rivers.
It's also quite famous for some other liquids, those which flow from a barrel, that being beers, bourbons, and wine.
Many of the world's best-known distilleries can be found right here in the Bluegrass state, and interestingly enough, pretty darn close to many of our lakes, rivers, and streams.
We're here to take you on an expedition of the secrets and histories of our intricate waterways while visiting Kentucky's distilleries, breweries, and wineries.
I'm Carrie.
And I'm Kyle. And we're two Kentuckians who are pretty proud of our state and want to share a sip of what the Commonwealth has to offer.
Good morning, Miss Carrie. What are we doing here at this, whatever it is behind you that looks more or less broken?
Well, it is broken, but this is lock number 10 on the Kentucky River, and you're right, the lock is broken, but the dam still works. So we're gonna put in downriver so we don't have to portage around this.
Okay, portage. I don't even know what that means, but I assume it has something to do with how you're going to traverse the waterway today, maybe?
Yeah, the Kentucky River is broken into 14 sections. So when you get to a lock in a dam, you have to take out of the river and climb over the dam. The locks and dams were constructed between 1836 and 1917, and they used to carry a lot of commercial traffic. But today, only 4 of them still have commercial traffic. So now it's just small craft that we have to carry over the locks and dam.
Climb over the dam. So you get in your kayak and you go down here, you have to climb over this 14 times?
Well, if you want to paddle all 255 miles of the river, yes. But today, we're going to put in down here past the lock and dam and paddle down 6 miles through the Palisades to Clay's Ferry.
Well, while you're doing that, I am going to Lexington to learn about beer.
Imagine that.
You're gonna see, you will see, this is gonna be cool. Okay, so after that, we're going to the first vineyard in the United States.
Really?
First. I'm talking Thomas Jefferson and stuff, like here in Kentucky, down that river. Well, I'm out of here. Have fun.
Really?
Right, yeah. Okay, since you're not gonna be able to join me in Lexington, seriously, have fun on the river and please don't drown.
I won't.
All right.
See you later.
Adios. All right, we're here in Lexington, Kentucky. Getting ready to go check out Country Boy Brewing. We just left Carrie on the river. She's gonna go paddle around and do what she does wherever she does it. We, on the other hand, are gonna go learn about where this name came from, where this idea came from, and these guys have like over 20 different types of beers that they produce. So I wanna find out where they come up with these ideas, and that's it. Let's do this. Let's go.
Kyle!
The Ace.
What's up, buddy?
What is up, my man?
How are you, my friend? Grab a seat, bro.
Every day's an adventure. I can't complain.
No doubt, man.
I think I know where we're at, but I want you to tell us.
Welcome to the tap room at Country Boy Brewing here on Cherry Avenue in Lexington.
Oh man, this is the place. This is where the magic happens.
Where it all started, right here, my friends.
You know what I love about this is that you guys, you've got some tried and true brews that you always have up here on the menu.
For sure.
And then you've always got something new. Like it changes all the time, and that's what's amazing about it.
Thank you for that. You know, the reason we really got into this and got into home brewing to begin with is the experimentation side of it. It's making beers with crazy ingredients. It's doing stuff we may never think about doing again. But at the same time, we got our core brands on. If you like those, you come in, they're here. But if you want something different, every time you come in, there's going to be something that's going to be new to you. The board's always going to be constantly rotating, and it's fun.
What's your role in this? Where did you come into play on this, and how did this even come to be?
Yeah, so myself and one of our partners, Nathan Coppage, we lived in Japan for 3 years teaching English. We had a blog called Good Beer and Country Boys, writing about craft beer in Japan in English. And so when we came back to Kentucky, we hooked up with one of our other partners, Jeff Beagle, and Nate's brother, Evan. And the name, we just kept coming back to it. We're all from Kentucky. We're all country boys at the end of the day. So let's just not overthink it. Let's create a brand, and we'll call it Country Boy Brewing, because that's who we are, and we like to make beer. So it just came together so easy. And some of those times, you can't buy that type of story because it's real.
You know, the logo, the look, the name, it's all very distinct. You know, there seems to be something to names and branding with this.
It's extremely important. When people drink the liquid, they want to have something that's delicious because the beer is first and foremost. But at the same time, you got to have a story behind it. You got to have a personality behind it, and you got to have some fun with it too. So for us, we enjoy the names we name our beers. They add character to the liquid. So whether it's Cougar Bait or Shotgun Wedding or Amos Moses, or some of these fun names we come up with, they add a character to the liquid, and they represent us a little bit. Where we take ourselves serious in the sense that we take our business serious, we take the taste and quality of the liquid serious, but at the end of the day, we're just making beer, man. This isn't brain surgery. We're making a liquid that makes people happy, so we try to have fun with it.
You guys don't just name beers, you actually make them.
We make them here right on site.
Make them here right on site.
Absolutely, right across the wall.
I think
through the door.
Behind me?
Yeah.
That's where it all happened?
You want to check it out?
Dude, we got to check it out. Can we check this out? Let's go check this out. Yeah. All right, grab that brew.
Oh, if you don't mind.
After you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Come on.
So, I hear bubbling and gurgling and all kinds of stuff going on here.
You talk about where the magic happens. This is it. We're standing right in the middle of the brewery right now at Chair Avenue, right on the other side of the wall from the tap room. Behind us, brew house, where actually all the beer is brewed, boiled. It's not beer at that point, it's just called wort. We're sending it to the fermenters where we're sending our yeast in line. That's where the fermentation process happens. Alcohol's produced, coming out of there to our bright beer tanks where it's chilled down, it's carbonated, ages in there for a little bit, goes on to the kegs or to the canning line where it's packaged, and then on to you thirsty drinkers. So this is where
it's all right here. Look at this.
It.
So this is, you got the warm, you got the cold, you got the kegs, you got the cans.
That's it. Two partners, Nathan and Evan Coppage, they're the ones that kind of take control of all the beers, the recipes, how they're formulated, the flavors that we think up in our head, how we're going to get to those, the crazy ingredients, even the sour stuff, the barrel-aged stuff. Evan's the guy you need to talk to for that one.
We're going to find Evan. Let's find Evan now.
So my name is Evan Coppage. My official title is owner and head of brewing operations at Country Boy Brewing. So this is our aging warehouse. Basically what it is where we do a lot of our experimentations or projects that will age for an extended period of time. What we have here, they're just oversized barrels. These are actually French oak red wine barrels from France. And what we'll do is we'll put a different kind of project ale than what we have across the street in these that take a lot longer period of time, I guess, to ferment and mature and to make the complexity of flavors that are representative for sour or wild fermentations. So we'll age anywhere from 6 to 24 months. It all depends on what flavor profile we're going for or what brand we're trying to go for. And a lot of this, what we put in these barrels won't be like, this is going to come out a certain brand. A lot of these are blending stock, and we trying to make a bunch of different flavor elements. Yeah, we'll go check it out real quick. So this is our foeder, and a foeder is basically a classical kind of fermenter before stainless steel was invented. This one is all American oak. It's the only foeder manufacturer in America. They're in St. Louis, Missouri, but we talked to them, and they kind of made this specifically for us. I got a couple, I guess, modifications, that we wanted, so we'll be able to use it a lot better. But basically what it is for me is I use it as a blending tank for all of our sour production. So anything that's going to go to extended aging will go through this foeder. The Europeans, whether it's France or Belgium or Germany, have been doing this for hundreds of years, and they still don't have all the science down as far as what's being produced, what's responsible for it, what's the timeline for it all. And so for me, it's an unlimited site of continued experimentation.
Well, we had a great time at Country Boy, and it looks like the weather is getting a little funky, so I hope Carrie's okay on the river with what she's doing. Speaking of which, we need to head all the way back to the river, Jessamine County. We're going to check out the first commercial vineyard in the United States after this delicious nitro stout. So we'll see you in Jessamine County.
We're here at Fort Boonesboro State Park on the Kentucky River. And later today, if the weather stays nice, which the forecasters say we're expecting some storms, We're gonna try to catch some paddlers in the KR 255, which is a 100-hour endurance race along the Kentucky River. But first, we're gonna go to the Kentucky River Museum and talk to Jenna Marie Sowers, who's the daughter of the last lockmaster here at Lock 10. Come on.
So the first Walters came here in 1907, and the last one left in 1975. So see, this family ran almost its entire existence. Mabel Walters and John were here. Fred and Rosa Tipton were down there. Now Mabel and Rosa were sisters. So a grand total of 16 first cousins grew up here. 10 in this family and 6 there. One had to be here all the time. He would go to church one Sunday, he'd go the next. He'd go to town Saturday morning, he'd go Saturday afternoon. They never left it. It took 24/7. They even walked through at night sometimes by lantern. There were coal barges. I have pictures in here. There were dance barges, dance boats, excursion boats. There was everything in the world that plied this river. A lot of times, like if it was the big coal barges, some of the crew would come up and help. And, you know, they would have to go around, open and close the valves, and that was manual. Well, the museum is set up just as the Lockmaster's family lived here in the heyday. Of 14 on the Kentucky River, that we are the only reservation that's still mostly intact. How thrilled you were to hear the grown-ups say, we're going to the river and we're going to spend the day. Remember eating breakfast down there in the early morning fog, and in the evening we'd gather around the blazing Yule logs. And remember building sand castles complete with bridge and moat. Then we'd watch them crumble in the wake of the big passing boats. Then, remember how long that walk was back up this dike at night, and by then these lighted houses were such a welcome sight.
We're back here at lock number 10 on the Kentucky River, and the weather has taken a turn for the worse. The KR 255 is a 100-hour endurance race that began in Beattyville and continues through all 14 pools of the Kentucky River to Carrollton on the Ohio River. We're going to catch up with the Kentucky American Water Team, which is making a portage now around lock number 10 at Fort Boonesboro State Park.
You know, I guess we've been keeping up the pace of about four plus miles an hour through the whole river, which everybody would know from around here anyways, that this river is not a fast-flowing body of water, especially this time of the year. The pool I paddled the most is this particular one right here, either from Boonesboro to Valley View, but I have been in other ones, just really not to this extreme anyways. The boat that we're in today, it's the boat that was purchased just this year. It's a new boat that Kentucky American Water put out for us to do this. You know, this race is one that's built, you know, for the entire Kentucky, but at the same time have the adventure part to it, and portage into locks is definitely one of them. You know, this race is one that's we put together. You know, pretty much so everybody can do it. It was a fairly cheap price, I guess. We had to couple up everything together that we have, all the awards, of course, the insurance and all that goes along with it. But at the end of the day, at the end of the race, you know, Saturday we'll have a count of what money's left, and all that money is going to be turned over to the Kentucky River Authority to make permanent portages around all of the locks, hopefully within some time. I do this because I enjoy getting on the water and being around the water. Luckily, I got a job that supports me in this fact. I kind of feel like a winner on both ends. You know, I get a paycheck, and they let me enjoy what I like to do.
Before heading back to the river, let's grab a quick bite with one of my friends in the tall white hats and striped pants. He's apparently caught a fish of some sort and wants to show it to me.
Hi, I'm Sylvia Lovely with Azure Restaurant and Patio, part owner. It's one of Lexington's original farm-to-table restaurants, but today we're going to do something with water to campfire. Or, Chef Jeremy, how about First Vineyard wine to table?
You know, I got you covered. So when it comes to cooking in Kentucky, I love using farm-to-table ingredients, especially anything out of Kentucky's waterways. You know, Kentucky's world renowned for aquaculture, which is really cool. We have these aquaculture shrimp. But you know, if you're out on the river, you catch catfish, bass, trout, all these great things, all these great species that we have in Kentucky. One thing I like to do is eat them right there fresh and ready to go. And this is like a campfire little catfish I want to show you guys. So the idea behind this dish is, you know, you're right by the stream, you just caught some fish, you fillet it, you're out with the guys, you got some Kentucky wine or you got some Kentucky beer, throw it all in the skillet and go for it. So plenty of good oil right in your skillet, and that's just so you don't really, you know, get the fish to stick to it. Now, I'm not saying you need flour by the campfire, but if you got it, great. It helps the fish not stick. Otherwise, just put it in the pan and forget about it. Don't worry about it. It's going to be fun. It's just dinner anyway. So, lay the fish in the oil, kind of get that going, and as you see with the oil and the flour, it doesn't really stick. It kind of moves a little bit. Makes it a little bit easier to work with. You got the guys around the fire, the skillet's going, the fish is filleted, it's in the skillet. Flip it over, and then just start adding all the good stuff. I got some smoked sausage in here, a little bit of onion and garlic. Look, the big cloves of garlic. I didn't even like chop that up. You know, you bite into that, it's good. You know, permeates the entire dish. And that oil, you see like the garlic fry in there, the onion, that's all kind of like permeating throughout all these flavors now, infecting all the other ingredients. A little bit of shrimp. You can use Kentucky freshwater prawns if you want, whatever you prefer. A little bit of fresh corn, just kind of chopped up. Some new potatoes. Freeze a little Old Bay seasoning. You can probably make your own if you want. Lots of that gives it lots of good flavor. And see, here's the part where your beer or your wine comes in play. You know, you're sitting by the fire and drinking a little bit, cooking a little bit of food. So throw that in there and kind of cover your ingredients. Let that get going. Maybe some fresh herbs. And just kind of let this sit. Let it cook. Don't play with your food too much. After 2 or 3 minutes, the fish is cooked. The shrimp is cooked. The corn is done. Maybe at the end you got a little bit of butter. Try to make that sauce nice and buttery. See what we got here? Oh man. And literally, I like to serve this in the skillet, right by the fire. Get your forks out, get your knives, your spoons, your cornbread, whatever you want to do, dip it in there, stop it, go. Eat with your hands, get messy, and get involved.
From Boonesboro, it's a 6-mile paddle to Clay's Ferry. There, we're meeting Amy for a short paddle back upriver to Boone Creek. But first, a few paddling safety tips. Number 1, always wear your life jacket. Number 2, check your boat for leaks and cracks before getting on the water. And number 3, never paddle alone.
Well, Amy, tell me a little bit about the Bluegrass GreenSource.
Well, Bluegrass GreenSource is an organization in its 15th year. Our mission is to help people understand that small changes can make a really big impact in our local environment. So we work a lot with kids and adults and teach them what they do affects water quality, like the Kentucky River.
Well, what kind of shape is the Kentucky River in?
Generally, it's not too bad. We can swim in it, we can fish in it to some extent. There are lots of creeks that lead into the Kentucky River that are on the what's called the 303D list, or a list that the federal government holds of creeks that aren't meeting their standards, whatever the Division of Water has said that they're for.
Well, Amy, tell us where we're heading today.
Right now we are on the border of Madison and Fayette County, and Clark County is just on the other side of Boone Creek. So we're sort of at the influx of 3 counties. In Fayette County, there's no public access to the Kentucky River.
Really?
And so and the river is on the edge of the county, and so Fayette County, which is our most populous county that we serve, people don't even realize the river is accessible. They don't even realize the river is near them. I think I like this much better than a canoe. Once I figure out how to...
Yeah, you get a little more maneuverability.
Yeah.
So Amy, this is Boone's Creek, right?
Yes, this is Boone's Creek, mouth of Boone's Creek. Boones Creek is much like the Kentucky River in that it has its own set of palisades. We can see some coming up here, and it's just a gorgeous place. It's the only creek in Fayette County that is not on the list that the EPA keeps of streams that are polluted. And so it's really a gem for this area.
This is just beautiful. So Amy, how are we doing on water quality in the state of Kentucky?
Well, you know, there's lots and lots of room for improvement. The Green River in western Kentucky is the cleanest river that we have. All of the others are impaired for various things.
So Amy, tell me why the Kentucky River is the color that it is.
Well, right now, I feel is one of the most beautiful colors of the Kentucky River. It feels very clean and crisp. Sometimes after a big rain, you see a lot of problems with it. It becomes very, very brown, and that's all the silt coming off of construction sites or an area either in your yard or down the street that doesn't have any, it's just a dirt lot. That's what causes a lot of the pollution, a lot of the sediment that comes in, and can make the Kentucky River very brown and kind of ugly looking. This is a beautiful color.
Well, the Kentucky River has a watershed that encompasses almost 7,000 miles.
That is amazing.
That's a lot of water.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it all heads 255 miles downstream to the Ohio River. 700,000 people get their drinking water out of the Kentucky River.
It's amazing. It's a very good reason to keep it clean. We are very lucky because our water helps with great beer, great wine, great horses, and great bourbon.
Well, thank you, Amy, for sharing your day with us and taking me for a paddle at beautiful Boone Creek. We're going to take off here now at the historic Clays Ferry, right under the I-75 bridge.
Could our last stop be any further off the beaten path? You'll find First Vineyard and Sugar Creek Resort not far from historic Camp Nelson off a dusty little country road running right up to the Kentucky River. Watch for the signs or you might just end up in it.
All right, we're in Jessamine County, Kentucky, not far from Nicholasville. Right down there is the Kentucky River. I mean, right down. If you go that way, boom, it's straight down Palisades. And we are here at a pile of rubble. I don't know what this rubble is, but I am guessing this guy may know what this rubble is.
Basically, this was the winery. They done open air wineries. The round part here was where the vat would have been for the preliminary crush, and then the square part back there would have been where the press was, or where they could extract the remainder of the juice out. So this is where the wine actually started happening, right here.
This was a winery right behind you.
This was the winery.
You're not just saying that.
Nope, that's where it really started happening, right there. First Vineyard basically was actually started in 1799, and it was planted that spring by a fellow named John James Dufour, and he was from Switzerland. He understood from the French soldiers who were coming back from the Revolutionary War, there was no winery here. There was no winery to be purchased. It was such a land of plentiful things that they couldn't understand that. So he wanted to start an industry.
Wow. Now, and when you say here, you're not talking about Jessamine County. You're talking about the very new United States, right?
That's correct. It was the first commercial vineyard where there was actually wine produced for sale to the public. Most people don't, I guess, equate Kentucky with being the start of the wine industry, but this, in fact, is where the whole thing started, right here in Jessamine County, Kentucky.
The Kentucky River is right behind us, literally over here, dropping down several feet. What role did it play here for First Vineyard?
I think it was really important because he went up the Ohio River and the Mississippi River, came down the Kentucky River, and I wondered why in the world did he stay here instead of the Ohio, Mississippi area. Well, then I found out there was a large shipping port called Quantico directly across the river there. And it was perfect here because he had the soil, he had the river that created a microclimate, but more importantly, he had a way to put wine on a flatboat, take it to New Orleans. Then from New Orleans, he could take it anywhere in the world.
We learned about the history. This is the first vineyard in the United States as well as Kentucky. So that seems to bode well for Kentucky having a solid foundation for producing grapes and wine, but it's not really known for wine that much. So what happened?
One of the things was that the Civil War, a lot of the farmers were injured, killed, and agriculture just took a real dip. The other thing was Prohibition in the 1920s. So you've got an industry that for all practical purposes almost died twice. After Prohibition, we still had a lot of antiquated laws on the book. And it wasn't until about 15, 18 years ago that you could even have a small farm winery again. So I guess we got the events. We have a bed and breakfast. We have a lot of people that come. Maybe they're even doing, the wine trail. Sure. They're staying here and then going around the community. Some people are doing the bourbon trail. And
because if you're drinking wine and bourbon, it's probably best to go ahead and sleep where you've had that at a bed and breakfast. So that's a brilliant idea right there.
Well, we tell people,
you have room tonight because it's possible.
Right. We tell people you don't have far to walk.
Right.
You need to go to the bed. This was lost to history for over 200 years.
Right.
And we've finally been able to recreate it and let people know about it. So we're hoping that this will help the wine industry, not just us, but the entire wine industry, to know that Kentucky started the wine industry.
Oh, absolutely. And what a beautiful place to start it.
Thank you.
Tom, let's walk up
been
here
a pleasure.
And
Yeah.
let's see if we put this to practice.
All right.
Hey, Kyle.
Well, hello there, Carrie. How are you? You survived your river adventure. Did not drown. Fantastic.
How about you? You didn't fall in one of those vats of beer, did you?
Well, I'm working on drowning right now. How was your adventure today?
Well, we had a great day. We did get caught in a little bit of rain, but we caught up with some paddlers on the endurance race, which was great. We also learned some history from the lockmaster's daughter. And then we met up with Amy from Bluegrass GreenSource, and she helped us to learn about protecting our watershed.
Yeah, we're here at the first vineyard ever.
Really?
Ever, yeah. We also went into Lexington and we visited Country Boy Brewing. We learned a little bit about branding, beer recipes, strange flavors, where they come from. That was fun, educational, very educational.
Well, Kyle, you can use it.
Did you get in the river and swim or anything today?
I didn't today, but maybe you can join me in the river one time.
At some point, I will do that. But until then, we'll see you downstream.
Programming made possible by Kentucky American Water. Visit Lex, horse capital of the world.